The indifference shown to my colleagues is disgraceful.
Still can't believe they didn't throw him out of the joint. The fake redneck cop, Fanone. The indifference to my colleagues has been. This guy's a fake. We knew it back then, but I found out something else. I saw the rest of his body cam footage from that day. I don't think they ever thought we were going to find it. He's walking all over the place, totally healthy and fine. I believe that man lied to us, and I believe we can prove it. All right, that's coming in a little bit. Also, James Clapper, another blabbermouth. Oh boy, I've been reading his book. You know, these guys thought they'd never be caught. They thought no one would ever look into it. Well, they're looking into it. He's on the verge of indictment. And I discovered some evidence that I hope the prosecutors already have. I'm sure they do. But in the meantime, a moment of celebration and appreciation for the moment we're in right now. The 45th and the 47th president of the United States is Donald Trump. And that is pretty amazing when you think about it. After all we went through, where we are right now, it is spectacular. It truly is. And the era of Trump is now going to be much longer, 15 years as opposed to 4 or 8 years. Now, I think this is also great. If you look at it, presidents come and go. Very few times does a president come and then go and then come again, right? This makes him, by definition, one of the most significant historical figures in American history, in addition to everything else that he's doing. And I think it's extraordinary. And to think back what we've been through, what he's been through, 2017 becoming the president of the United States, 2025 becoming the president again. Yeah, if you look at it from 2015 to about this is a very long era, the Trump era. And we have great things to celebrate. I mean, sanity and common sense are viable once again. We're not going to pretend that that beast in the pool, right, actually belonged there, taking Riley Gaines' trophy away from her. We're not going to say that that's okay anymore. And we're not. And they're actually doing things to undo all of this stuff. No one can say, well, they still will in certain enclaves, but the culture says that this is the monstrosity that it is. It's not a civil right. This is not reading. This is a monster hanging out with children, and the cops should be called. Anti-Semitism in the streets, which was tolerated, even encouraged by the Biden administration, is being stopped. And universities that condone this are paying a massive price. What about the border? I heard last month that there was not one illegal alien that got into the country. Is that possible? I'm told it is. That happened last month. Not one illegal entry into all of America. They wanted this country to be overtaken by people who didn't belong here. What were they thinking? What were their motives? This is all being taken care of. And we're not going to get into any wars and then lose them, right? Getting into foreign wars that go on and on and on, and then we lose them? No. And we have a president who reveres and values service, not a guy who pretends and looks at his watch and can't wait to get the hell out of there and is so self-absorbed he can't talk about the children of the he can't talk about the soldiers who just got killed. He talks about his son, Beau Biden. The bullet that we dodged, Joe and Kamala, or whether it was going to be Kamala and Joe, whatever, that these two hucksters were finally revealed, is very, very satisfying, isn't it? So, the 45th and the 47th president and what he overcame. I mean, they literally threw him in jail, right? They shot him. They shot him to stop him. And take a look at this. He's being shot and being arrested. And to come back from all of that and get elected by a landslide, oh, by the way. You remember where you were on election night? I'll never forget it. It was, you know, they tried to make us feel like we were outlaws there for a while. Thank God for him. This is a glorious time in America, and it should be valued and appreciated just how special these days are. All right, now time for some accountability.
When the director says that she's referred these filings to the Justice Department for a criminal investigation, tonight we're told they formed what is called a strike force. Do you have concerns that they will attempt to prosecute you?
Well, certainly I do. After 8.5 years of this, and I don't know of an intelligence product that was more scrutinized, more investigated than that product was by numerous people.
Well, you should be suspecting that you're going to be prosecuted, because it looks to me like you are guilty. You went on so many interview shows. This is James Clapper, the director of national intelligence under Barack Obama. He went on 1 million interviews. He wrote books, talked too much, and when you're not telling the truth, you lose track, right? The beautiful thing about telling the truth, you never have to remember what you say, but he's been deceiving people all over the place. So we're going to get into that. First off, though, can we all agree that it's not appropriate for the DNI, the CIA director, and the FBI director to attend a top secret meeting with President Trump and then write books about it? All three of these guys, they wrote books. Kind of like it was a deep state assignment, right? You don't do that. That's not appropriate at all. In what universe? And they all wrote about the top secret meeting. It's crazy. But now there is accountability. All right, a little bit more from that CNN interview, and then we'll get into the deep stuff.
It's very disconcerting. It really is. And I take seriously when the President of the United States accuses me of being a participant in a treasonous conspiracy, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, what's your reaction to that?
It's ridiculous. It is untrue.
So what will you do if they come after you? What is your plan?
Well, I'll lawyer up, I suppose. Already have.
You've already hired attorneys in anticipation that this Trump Justice Department could try to prosecute you.
We've had sort of perpetual attorneys since I left the government in 2017.
Yeah, imagine that. Some of those attorneys were swamp attorneys, all part of the project to protect him and to harm Trump. But it's interesting, that moment. The way the fake news looks at you. This guy has been leaking to the fake news. And the fake news, they have no loyalty, none. You're on your own now, right? Oh, boy, you're out of power, and you're in trouble, and he is in trouble. All right, so what's the big thing he's responsible for? He was a co-conspirator, I believe, in Russiagate, all right? The whole idea that Russia was interfering with the election and the collusion nonsense and all that stuff, even the interference thing, they totally overstated it, as he does right here. In an interview with PBS, the Frontline documentary people, check this out. He's about how serious it all was.
You know, for me, when the light bulb came on, or when I reacted viscerally, physically, when I understood the magnitude of what they were doing, and that it was in fact directed at the highest levels, orchestrated at the highest levels of the Russian government, meaning Putin himself. And that, I've seen a lot of bad stuff in my 50+ years in intelligence. That really shook me because of what this represented as an attempt to undermine the very pillars of our democracy.
Wow. When he found out that they were leaking emails on Hillary Clinton, it impacted him physically. Did you hear that? He was on active duty in Vietnam. Maybe he saw intelligence of the Viet Cong and what they were doing to South Vietnamese soldiers. And oh my gosh, this guy has seen war crimes. But this shakes his very soul, all right? Physically, bad stuff, the worst he's ever seen in 50 years. You kind of remember when you saw that stuff, right? Watch how defensive he gets when they ask him, well, when was that? When did you know the Russians were serious about interfering in this election?
I've been asked that question a lot. When did the light bulb, what instant, what day and time precisely? I can't tell you. It just sort of unfolded to me, and the first instance, and I don't remember the exact date.
He's really touchy about that. I don't remember the exact date, that I was totally freaked out and was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life in my 50 years of intelligence. but he narrows it down to a window.
I was made aware of the direction for this coming from the highest levels of the Russian government. Sometime in, say, August or September of 16 is when I think had an appreciation for the magnitude and the threat that this posed to our system.
Oh my goodness. It was August, September 16. He was physically moved. He had never seen anything this bad. He just couldn't believe the crisis that America was going through. It's not true. So he did something and he wrote a book, right? And I think that this kind of proves that he's not telling the truth. So it's election day or election night. We all find out that President Trump won in 2016. Listen to his reaction.
At 2:31 a.m. on the U.S. East Coast, the Associated Press declared Trump to be the U.S. president-elect. I was shocked. Everyone was shocked. Having a few minutes alone, I kept thinking of just how out of touch I was with the people who lived in Middle America. I never recognized just how much frustration with and resentment toward Washington those communities had, and just how deep the roots of their anger went. But Donald Trump had, and he'd appealed to them more than I'd realized or liked.
Mr. Intelligence, who knew and was physically so moved and disturbed when he found out the Russians were trying to influence the election, it shook him to his very core and brought back the worst memories that he had ever experienced in 50 years in intelligence, was shocked like everybody else on Election Day morning. What about the Russians? What about this? What about that? You see the deception? I mean, these guys lie for a living, these intelligence types, right? Anyway, yeah, back to that meeting. Now, here's something else. There's a major discrepancy in his telling of what happened at that meeting. Clapper in the middle, and Brennan, what he says at the meeting. So, all right, they're briefing President Trump. And what was President Trump like during that meeting when you're trying to tell him that his election was somehow not legit? Take a look.
But I will say that the then President-elect was affable, courteous, even complimentary of the presentation. We were there, I guess, maybe 90 minutes or so, and paid attention, and he and his team asked pretty good questions. There was no pushback. And I think the reason was that the evidence that we laid out at the highly classified level was pretty compelling and been very hard to have pushback.
All right, so it was very courteous and no pushback. So he's the DNI, but what does the guy sitting right next to him, the CIA director, John Brennan, say happened in that meeting? In his own book, he got a lot of pushback, he says, from President Trump, and not much courtesy either.
As the briefing was beginning to wrap up, Trump looked at me and made unsolicited, disparaging remarks about human sources. Anyone will say anything if you pay them enough. I know that, and you know that, he said. I stared at Trump, shook my head in disgusted disagreement, and bit my tongue nearly hard enough to draw blood.
So what is it? Courteous or disparaging remarks? Unsolicited disparaging remarks? Your friend there got so upset he bit his tongue and bled? What? So really, what is it? They're making it all up. These guys make stuff up, and like any bureaucrat, they cover themselves, right?